of course, I'm going to talk about Tucker Carlson as well and the really stupid shit that he said.
Will do so under a series of restrictions that have no basis of any kind in science. It's a kind of bizarre health theater. Students will be kept 6 feet apart. Everyone will have to wear a mask. Class size will be limited. In some schools, there will be scheduled bathroom breaks. It's insulting. It's ridiculous. They're telling you masks don't work unless you work in a hospital? How does that work? Does mask effectiveness change based on what job you do? They're only useful if you're already sick? What? Oh, wait, you're just too dumb to wear the mask. Okay, because they're really hard to put on. Of course masks work. Everyone knows that. Dozens of research papers have proved it. We understand there's a shortage of masks. We understand only certain people should get them because it's a triage moment. We get it. But stop lying to us.
Yeah, stop lying to us, Tucker. I mean, this is wild. This is just like so apparent, so obvious. How does one regularly contradict himself? He regularly contradicts himself because he doesn't care. He is lying. He is lying to every sucker that will listen to him. The only thing he cares about is just pushing a white nationalist agenda. That's it. I for real don't understand what Tucker Carlson believes. It shows like a Twilight Zone to me. I can tell you what he believes in. He is a Nazi. He is a WASP nationalist, okay? He will shield himself with American civic nationalism and how unique its properties are in like upholding certain minorities while attacking the left, attacking leftist ideas, attacking capitalism, while also simultaneously saying that like some parts of capitalism are necessary. It's exactly what Nazis did. It's acting like you are a national socialist, but you care more about the nationalism, and you're using the economic populism of lefty ideology, like socialism, to advocate for your nefarious nationalist agenda. You're an lib that used out of context clips to make it sound words like make his words sound like Nazi shit. Okay, well, let's watch the full coverage of Senator Tammy Duckworth and what he has to say. Let's just start the out of context clip where Tucker Carlson will, I'm assuming, reference heritage and history, which are keywords. They are choice words that he is using here specifically, while simultaneously attacking women of color and saying that these people are not upholding American heritage or American history, even though the Somali refugee did infinitely more than Tucker Carlson did to not only be a part of American society, but still continue to contribute to American society more than Tucker Carlson ever has done with his shitty ass frozen food dynasty heritage that he defends like no other. Okay, let's take a look at the out of context 6-minute clip.
Last night we played you long clips from the president's recent address at Mount Rushmore.
Also, Tammy Duckworth literally lost her limbs. Okay, like I don't oftentimes talk about like veterans and you know stuff that they've done. I've obviously shit on some veterans specifically and even made fun of their disabilities that they've gotten. I'm of course referencing Dan Crenshaw here. I've taken it too far is what I'm saying with my criticisms of veterans from time to time. But ultimately, for all of Tammy Duckworth's faults, I would not sit around and act like, her service is something to attack in the circumstance, because it's not like she's advocating for, to the same degree as Dan Crenshaw at least, additional warfare and whatnot.
It may have been the best speech Donald Trump has ever given. It was succinct and clear, and it was true. And for all of those reasons, the Democratic Party and its many minions absolutely hated it. They denounced the speech, and this may not come as a complete surprise to you, as, quote, racist. There was nothing even conceivably racist about Trump's speech. Go watch it for yourself.
I mean, he literally said Manifest Destiny was really good. And, like, Americans need to have, have faith and support their heritage. He didn't literally say the N-word, Hassan. Well, you got me. That's true. He didn't literally say the N-word. At a time when everyone is having a conversation about the way that American history has been told in our schools and how much it's been retconned and how we should actually honestly cover American history, Donald Trump turning around and highlighting American history in the way that he did and being proud of it, what he's doing in that circumstance is justifying slavery and genocide. That's it. Manifest Destiny specifically being genocide and land grabs of indigenous people. Any sort of promotion, especially in this time, and in any other time as well, but especially in this time when it's at the forefront of our conversation, any sort of promotion of Manifest Destiny in that regard is 100% a dog whistle. Sorry, That's just the truth.
Trump even brought up the Civil War was to praise Abraham Lincoln, who, thank God, won it. He never mentioned the Confederacy or anyone in the Confederacy. Instead, Trump praised unabashed American heroes like George Washington, Clara Barton, the Wright brothers. Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois watched Trump's speech, or claimed she did. Her summary of it, quote, "He spent all his time talking about dead traitors. George Washington, Clara Barton, Jackie Robinson, they are all, according to Tammy Duckworth, dead traitors."
I wonder why he specifically signaled the picked those people. Also, George Washington is not an unabashed hero. Yes, he was foundational in escaping the British rule and building the United States of America that we all live in now. But he also was a land destroyer, according to the indigenous population that he genocided and owned slaves. And not only did he own slaves, but he also used a loophole to make sure that his slaves would rotate so that he could continue owning them. This implies that other people understood that this was a bad thing to own slaves at the time, and yet George Washington acknowledged that, knew exactly what was going on there, and still continued to do it, and took advantage of a loophole.
Senator Duckworth was asked if we should tear down statues to George Washington. Sure, she responded, let's talk about it. We played that tape for you last night, and we noted how grotesque it was. Only someone who hates the country would suggest ripping down.
Why is that grotesque? I thought we wanted to have conversations, Tucker. I'm sorry, but why are you vilifying someone who is simply wanting to have a conversation? Also, once again, not all veterans are equal. I think that service does not automatically deserve respect. I'm sorry. It's what you do afterwards that will make me respect you or not. Some people will offer it to you across the board, regardless, unconditionally, but it's just not going to happen here. But in Tammy Duckworth's case, shouldn't Tucker Carlson assume automatically that because she served, she is a better citizen than he is? Not only did she serve, but she's still a public servant. She's now serving the country. Not only did she serve as a veteran and lost limbs literally as a consequence of that, but is now also serving the nation to this day, similar to Ilhan Omar, who Tucker Carlson will get to as well. Not only did she work a lot harder than Tucker Carlson ever did in his entire life to come here as a child, pretty much. But also, Ilhan Omar still continues to be a public servant to this day.
Apparently, Tammy Duckworth saw what we said. She didn't disagree with it exactly. Instead, she questioned our right to criticize her at all, since she was once injured while serving in the Illinois Army National Guard. That's what passes for an argument in modern identity politics. They don't address the points that you make. They question your right to make them at all. The irony, of course, is that George Washington himself, the dead traitor Tammy Duckworth has such contempt for, also served in the military. Washington spent most of his adult life under arms. He fought in 2 wars.
Wait, did Tucker Carlson literally just do the same thing to Tammy Duckworth that he criticized me for? Wait, did he just like minimize Tammy Duckworth's like injury and say like it's whatever, it's not a big deal, who gives a f? Also, I don't know what she said, but I doubt that she said George Washington is a dead traitor.
And by the way, Washington also created the country we live in. George Washington was a genuinely great man. But to morons like Tammy Duckworth, Washington is just some old white guy who needs to be erased.
Did Tammy Duckworth actually say that? I'd be shocked. I mean, that is a wild take. Like that's like something I would hear from like a freshman who is who read like, I don't know, Howard Zinn or Noam Chomsky the first time ever and is like now really upset at America. Like there's no way that like a sitting congressperson would say this. Like there's just no way that a sitting congressperson would just turn around and just be like, you know, George Washington's a dead white guy, dead traitor. What she said. Let's take a look at what she actually said. We should listen to the argument on removing Washington statues. Oh, that's exactly
so
like.
So that might be true, but George Washington, I don't think anybody would call him a traitor. And there are moves by some to remove statues of him. Is that a good idea?
I think we should listen to everybody. I think we should listen to.
Wait, she just said no. So what does that even?
To the argument there, but remember.
Wait, doesn't this literally just destroy Tucker Carlson's entire point? I'm so confused. Would anybody consider George Washington a traitor? She said no. She didn't say no? Wait, do conservatives have earwax? Is that?
Traitors.
So that might be true, but George Washington, I don't think anybody would call him a traitor. And there are moves by some to remove.
Are you saying like she actually meant like, no, George Washington is a traitor or something? Is that what you're trying to say? I didn't hear it, brother. I don't know. I've been too busy not paying attention. That's a woman of color right there. She's already an affirmative action hire, so I don't care. I don't care what she has to say, brother.
Her flack informed us that before even considering our request, we must first issue a public apology for criticizing Tammy Duckworth. In other words, I will not debate you until first you admit you're completely wrong. Keep in mind, Tammy Duckworth is not a child, at least not technically. She is a sitting United States senator who is often described as a hero. Yet Duckworth is too afraid to defend her own statements on a cable TV show. What a coward. She is just a politician like the rest of them. She works for us. This is a democracy. She has an obligation to explain herself and answer our question.
She has an obligation to come on my show and debate me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Remember how I told you that, like, Republicans will always maintain complete monopoly over patriotism, and that's precisely why they can literally say stuff like, I like my veterans who weren't captured. You know, Donald Trump said that about John McCain.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
And suffered virtually no consequences for that take. Same with Tucker Carlson, just like shitting on a veteran who lost, you know, her legs. The reason why they can get away with it is because they own the patriotism marketplace. So when they say it, they're saying it in a patriotic way. That's why you don't try to outflank them from the right. That's why you don't run John Kerry because he's a fucking veteran against George W. Bush, who's a fake veteran, because you'll get owned into oblivion. Anyway.
Hating America is a major theme in the Democratic Party right now. It's everywhere. Turn on the TV. Here's Congresswoman Ilhan Omar just today. And if anyone should love America, it's Ilhan Omar. This country rescued her from a squalid Kenyan refugee camp and made her a national figure, quite an ascent. But Ilhan Omar is not grateful. She hates us for it.
He just straight up is like saying, know your place. Like, you're not allowed to criticize America. This is the country that made you. I suggest that we deport Tucker Carlson immediately back to whatever shithole that he came from. Have them sorted out. Have God sorted out. And, offer another Somalian immigrant his place. That's my take on the matter. Fuck Tucker Carlson. He does not deserve to be here. Ilhan Omar does. I think that every single immigrant that has come into this country, both legally and illegally, through whatever means necessary, deserves to be here infinitely more than Tucker Carlson, who just landed on, the U.S. soil when he was born. I love how you criticize them for trying to out-nationalize the right, then turn around with this immigration is patriotic bullshit. Patriotism is just nationalism. Invoking it is just the same. I know that in your anarchist book club, you guys are having a really profound discussion about how every mention, the sheer mention of a nation state, is actually incredibly offensive and disgusting, and that we should abolish all nations immediately tomorrow. But if you want to make an argument specifically to the people in the margins who are at the precipice of deprogramming the pre-existing social conditioning that they've been privy to their entire lives, I think recentering the conversation around true patriotism and what it should mean to you is a pretty good one. Having said that, yes, I understand where you're coming from. You're right. I am a nationalist for saying that if you are truly patriotic, you should love America for its many benefits to the world, which are still nothing in comparison to the devastation that it's caused around the world, but still always admit the devastation and try to do better. Okay? I love America, and that's why I criticize it all the time.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Dismantle the American economy and the American system of government, institutions that generations of Americans built over hundreds of years. Tear them down, say Ilhan Omar and Tammy Duckworth and so many others on the left. We don't like them. We hate this country. We want a new country.
This is precisely why I said what I just said. It is your patriotic duty. If you love America, You want to do better. If you have a deadbeat relative who is constantly f***ing up, but you love them, what do? Do you let them go and f*** shit up? Do you let them go down a spiral of destruction? No. You work with them. You try to change their behavior. America, in this analogy, is the deadbeat relative. Don't justify the bad behavior or the profoundly violent history of the United States if you truly love the United States.
We have every right to fight to preserve our nation and our heritage and our culture. And when vandals like Tammy Duckworth and Ilhan Omar tell us that we're not allowed to question their patriotism, even as they scream about how horrible America is, we have every right to laugh in their faces.
My man literally just straight went master off with this, by the way. We need to fight to preserve our nation and heritage is just straight up a dog whistle. It is, let me do it in a way that you can understand if you have a tiny brain. We need to fight to preserve our nation and heritage, right? That's what Tucker Carlson said.
Wir müssen kämpfen, unsere Nation und unser Erbe zu bewahren.
Do you get it that way when I read it out like that?